Okay, we'll start. नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्तादेव मनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्युपन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सब्बदा नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्च वज्रेन होतु मे जय मङ्गलम् उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं पादपंसो वरुत्तमं बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम बुद्धं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि स्वाकातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटीको अकालिको एहि पस्सिको अपनायको पच्छतं वेदितव्यो विन्नुहीति नमो तस्सनियानिक सदम्मसा ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्युपन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सब्बदा नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्च वज्रेन होतु मे जय मङ्गलम् उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं धम्मं च त्रिविदुत्तमं धम्मेयो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम धम्मं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरुषयुगानि अट्टपुरुषपुद्गल एषा भगवतो सावकसंगो आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकस्साति नमो तस्स अट्ट अर्य पुद्गला महासंगसा ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्युपन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सब्बदा नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं संघो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्च वज्रेन होतु मे जय मङ्गलम् उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं संगं च विदुत्तमं संज्ञेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम संगं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि विपत्ति पटिवाहाय सब्ब संपत्ति सिद्धिया सब्ब दुःखं विनाशाय सब्ब भयं विनाशाय सब्ब रोगं विनाशाय भवेदीगायुकदायक सब्ब लोकं हितत्ताय परित्तन्तं बनामहे समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्र गच्छन्तु देवता तद्धम्मं मुनिराजस्सा सुनन्तु सर्गमोक्तदं धम्म सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता धम्म सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता परितस्सवन कालो अयं बदन्तां नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा एवं मे सुतं एकं समयं भगवा सावतियं विहरति जेतवने अनाथपिण्डिकस्स आरामे अतको अन्यथरा देवता अभिकन्ताय रत्य अभिकन्तवन्ना केवलकप्पं जेतवनङ्गोभासेत्वा येन भगवातेनुपसङ्कमि उपसङ्गमित्वा भगवन्तं अभिवादेत्वा एकमन्तं अट्टासि एकमन्तं तिटाकोसा देवता भगवन्तं गाताय अज्जबासि पराभवन्तं पुरिसं मयं पुच्छाम गौतमा भगवन्तं कुत्तुमा घम्मा किं पराभवतो मुखं सुविजानो भवं होति सुविजानो पराभवो धम्मकामो भवं होति धम्मदेस्सी पराभवो असन्तस्साप्या होन्ति सन्तेना कुरुतेऽपि यं असतं धम्मं रोचेति संबरा भवतो मुखं निदासीली सभासीली अनुत्ताटा चयो नरो अलसो गोदपन्यानो तंपरा भवतो मुखं यो मातरं पितरं वा जिन्नकं गतयोब्बनं बहु सन्तो न भरति तंपरा भवतो मुखं यो ब्राह्मणं समणं वा अन्यं वापि वणिब्बकं मूसावादेन वञ्चेति तंपरा भवतो मुखं Pahutavitto puriso sahiranyo sabojano eko bunjati sadhuni tangpara bhavato mukhan Jatittaddo danattaddo gotattaddo chayo naro sanyating atimanyeti tangpara bhavato mukhan Ittidutto suradutto akkadutto chayo naro laddang laddang vinaseti tangpara bhavato mukhan Sehidare hi asantutto vesiya su padussati dussati paradare su tangpara bhavato mukham atitayobano poso aneti timbaruttaning tassa issana supati tangpara bhavato mukham itting sonding vikiraning purisang vapita adisang isaryasming tapeti tangpara bhavato mukham appavogo mahatanaho kattiye jayate kule sacha socharajjang pattayati tangpara bhavato mukham Ete parabhave loke pandito samavekkiya ariyo dassana sampanno salokang bachate sivanti etena satcha vajjena sotino hotu sabbada etena satcha vajjena hotu no jayamangalam etena satcha vajjena patuno ratanatayang sabbityo vivajjantu sabbaro vinasatu mate bhavatvantarayo sukhi diga yuko bhava bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata Sabba buddhanubaveena, sabba dhammanubaveena, sabba sanghanubaveena, tadasotti bhavantute. Imina punyakameena mame bala samagamo, satang samagamo hotu, yava nibbana patya, idang me punyakam, asavakkayang vahang hotu, sabba dukkha pamucchatu, nibbana sampachayo hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So today's topic is this wisdom of forgiveness. So forgiving, the quality of forgiving, the nature of say letting go of others' mistakes and thereby letting go of your own grudge, your own bitterness, your own vengeance, your own resentment, so that you will be free from your defilements. Actually, this has to be cultivated wisely. That's why I call it as the wisdom of forgiveness. It requires a thorough investigation into the causes of why people can't forgive, the ways and means to forgive, how to forgive. All these things you have to understand, you have to penetrate into all these factors, different approaches to learn this art of forgiving. And it's both an art and science. It has to be practiced skillfully, artistically. At the same time, it has to be practiced with rationale, with proper understanding, with proper comprehension, with proper analysis. That's why it's also a science. That's why it's also uh, both an art and science. That's why I call it as the wisdom. Wisdom involves both this skillfulness, proper analysis, proper understanding, proper feelings. So all these things, when they come together and when they properly say fall in place, then it becomes wisdom. So because of that reason, the art of forgiving is a wisdom. It's both science and art. It's both say there is some logical basis. There is the proper understanding. Then everything is there. Then forgiveness becomes easy. Forgiving others, forgiving oneself becomes very easy. So because of these reasons, so we should call it as wisdom. And again, why we can call it as wisdom? Because we have to look into the general approach of forgiving someone, something, some situation. How generally people say give importance to this forgiveness. That also we will see. And then we will see the psychology of forgiveness, how the people who are working on this mental health or the psychologists, this psychoanalysts, psychiatrists, people who are working on this mental health, how they perceive this forgiveness, how they describe, how they understand, what are their prescriptions, what are their suggestions to develop this art and this skillfulness of forgiveness or forgiving. Hmm. And also we will see the other religious, say, traditions, what they suggest about forgiving, in what way they encourage people to learn this art of forgiving. The other religious approaches also we will see, and also this right view approach. Then finally we will take up the right view approach of learning and developing the skillfulness of this forgiveness or forgiving. So in that way, in this maybe 1 hour time, we will see how comprehensively we can learn this art and science of forgiving. So because of that reason, I call it as the wisdom of forgiving, the wholesome knowledge, integrated approach to develop this skillfulness of forgiveness, skillfulness of forgiving. So because of that reason, so we can call it as the chapter or the wisdom of forgiveness. Now coming to the general approach, how people take this forgiveness and why people talk about forgiveness. So the main reason why people encourage themselves or encourage others to practice this forgiveness is to have a good relation, harmonious relation, either in the family or in the workplace or with the relatives, the society. If you keep on, say, brooding some grudge or some revengefulness or some vengeance about something misdeeds or some mistake happened from your side or from other side, if that is keep on multiplying in your mind, if you are brooding on it, then it will not create a harmonious relation, not only with that particular person, with all other people also. You can't completely open up and you can't completely have a positive relation. It will affect your positive thinking. Because the positive thinking or the creative thinking will start in your mind, and that compassionate thinking or that even the mindfulness, even the awareness, even the confidence, all these four faculties of the mind that always we talk about and we are working on them, like your awareness, like your compassion, your good feelings, your confidence levels, energy levels, your enthusiasm, and your right understanding, right say comprehension. All these four faculties of the mind will be affected. Their mind is always brooding on some kind of vengeance, some kind of resentment, some kind of revengefulness or grudge, that creates some kind of bitterness in the mind, and that will make you like not to have right relation, the harmonious relation with the people around you. And because of that reason, generally people, they simply say, let go, let it be, just forgive, just forget. In that way, simply uh, they reinforce that idea of forgetting and forgiving again and again, just to bring you back into the path, bring you back into the present moment, bring you back into the flow of the time, flow of the things. The things should move on, to make you move on into your work, your activities, your relations. People say simply ignore, just let go, let it be, just move on, just forgive, just forget. It's like one. It's also okay. It's also everything. All these different approaches that we are talking, definitely they have some relevance at some point of uh, our time, at some point of say, yeah, some point of the time. It will definitely, they will have some relevance for some kind of temperament, for some kinds of people. So all these approaches are relevant. In different situations, they are relevant. So what is the benefit of this? Simply say reinforcing or giving that affirmation in your mind, let go, just move on, just let go, just move on. It's just like handling one of the ways of handling your faculty of confidence, faculty of say action, faculty of energy, faculty of virya, to push you yourself into the next task, the next aspect. You should be in that dynamic state. If you are static because of brooding something, if you are still, if you are dull, if you are achieving stillness out of dullness, you are becoming static because of your so negativities in your mind, like your vengeance, your resentment, your say inability to forgive and forget. Well, then you can't move on. You are stuck, and of course that will affect the people around you also. That will affect your work, your efficiency, your say of course your own happiness that you derive from the enthusiastic actions. So your creativity, everything will be affected. So because of that, you should just give this affirmation. What is affirmation? Like, let go, let me move on. Somebody has hurt me, somebody has created some problem for me, somebody has abused me, somebody has ill-treated me, somebody has teased me, somebody has say insulted me. So all these thoughts, they keep on arising because we encounter different kinds of people, different kinds of temperaments. Whether knowingly or unknowingly, whether intentionally or unintentionally, they might have hurt us. But if we keep on brooding on that, taking it in a negative way, and simply multiplying that negative thought of not to forgive, of having that vengeance, having that grudge, having that revengefulness, having that bitterness, if not revengefulness or vengeance, at least the bitterness of why he has told me, why he has hurt me, why he has insulted me, why he has teased me, and that kind of thoughts are multiplying in your mind, then you can't move on. Then you can't move on in your work, in your relation, in your activities, in your care, in your concern, in your giving, in your involvement in what you are doing. You can't move on. You are stuck. Hmm? So you are stuck because of your dullness, because of your vengeance. So this vengeance also creates some kind of mental and physical dullness. Like means you will become stuck. And of course, because of that negative thoughts of not to forgive or of resentment. So that will affect not only your movements, it will affect your health also, mental health, your happiness, your physical health. All these things will also be affected. So because of that reason, generally even with so common people with very ordinary intelligence, they are simply say, they simply encourage you. Some elders or even or also the people who are into the society, who are into some active life, they tell you simply your friends or relatives, whoever it is, simply let go. You forget about it, just move on. That way they encourage. That is how the people look at this quality of forgiving. Because it will affect you, it will affect your work. Because of that reason, you just simply let go, just move on, to make you little dynamic, to push you into the present moment, present actions, present tasks, present responsibilities. People always encourage this art of forgiving, this skill of or this quality of forgiving. The main interest, the main idea is to make you to ignore and to move on in the society, in your work, in your actions, in your um, say in your care, in your concern, in your role as a particular individual in the society, to propel you into your task, your role, your responsibility, not being stuck. People simply they say, just let go, just forgive the part of the people who hurt you, and just move on. In that way, they say it's also okay. It's more of affirmation. It's more of like say, keep repeating that. Let it be. Let go. Just let me move on. If I can't let go, I can't move on. Because of that reason, I have to let go, I have to forgive, I have to forget, and I should move on. So that is a basic understanding in the society. That is a common understanding of a majority of the people. Why forgiveness? The reason for forgiveness is to you have to move on in the society. That's why you have to forgive and forget. Just move on. That is very basic understanding of the importance of forgiveness. Then coming to little more deeper understanding, deeper reason for this art of forgiveness is like we can look at the scientific approach, the psychological approach. By the psychologists, scientists, they talk about forgiveness. They talk about this art of simply let go, forget, forgive, and move on. What are their reasons? A lot of research is going on in this field of forgiveness. There is a separate, there are so many chapters or maybe so many books on this art of forgiveness. There are so many books. I just went through. So many people, so many psychologists, they have written very big volumes of books on this, the art of, or these different ways and means, the different methods, the different steps of forgiveness, and the different reasons they quote. So many reasons. The psychologists, they quote at least 10 benefits of cultivating this forgiveness, the art of forgiveness, for your mental health, for your heart to function better, for your the health of the heart, for the say for the immunity. They talk about the benefits of forgiveness on your immunity also. A lot of research authoritatively by conducting some research, some data, some questionnaires, some studies. They have concluded so all these benefits, how the harmonious social relations, work efficiency, the different things that I mentioned a few minutes before, all those benefits. In addition to that, how it has an impact on your physical health and mental health, your immunity, your heart functioning. So all these things, they have derived a lot of benefits. They have deduced. They have conducted a lot of studies. They have detected a lot of these benefits. So which will definitely have tremendous impact on your physical health, mental health, work efficiency, your creativity, your leadership, all these things, they will have a lot of impact. That's what they have derived. And again, they classify, many people, they classify these different kinds of forgiving. There are so many kinds of classification again, just like the different methods, different steps of forgiving. There are different types of forgiving also. So let us see, at least again, there are different types, of course. Again, just if we can relate it with this guilt. Last week we had this discussion on the guilt. So we have classified the guilt into three kinds: the natural guilt, the toxic guilt, and the existential guilt. The same way here, we can classify this forgiving, which is the opposite of guilt in a way. So the natural forgiving, forgiving the toxic guilt or the toxicity, removing the toxicity, the toxic effects of not to forgive, or the toxic guilt, forgiving the toxic guilt, and the existential forgiving, the third one. So in that way also we can classify this forgiving. What is this natural guilt and natural forgiving? So just like I told you, so it is to move on in the society, in your work, in your actions, in your giving, in your very existence, in your very survival. You have to move on means like you should have this natural ability to forgive the things, forget the things, and focus on your work, focus on your goals, focus on your say tasks at the hand, focus on the present task, focus on the goals, all these things, taking up the responsibility, focusing on your responsibilities. So all these things will make you naturally a forgiver. You can easily forgive the things when you are into this kind of action-oriented individual. So because of that reason, say in the text like Bhagavad Gita, they just emphasize you on skillful action. Karmasu kaushalam, yoga karmasu kaushalam. So if you skillfully involve in your actions, holistically, skillfully involve in your actions, then automatically you will learn this art of forgiving and forgetting and keep moving ahead. So that kind of natural forgiving is possible when you are, like say, when you are a dynamic person, when you are an energetic person, when you are greatly involved in your focus, in your early responsibilities. So that's how you can come out of your natural guilts also, natural jealousies also, natural revengefulness also. So all these say impatience also, can come out of your impatience, guilt, and not to forgive, your vengeance. All these things, they are related. If you are very impatient, that means you have some kind of vengeance. You are not in a position to forgive. You have some kind of guilt. Because of that, you have vengeance. Because of that, you are not in a position to forgive. So in that way, and you have some jealousy, you have some impatience. All these things, they are interrelated. So that's because of that reason I am relating the last week's 3 kinds of guilt with these 3 kinds of forgiving. So then coming to this toxic guilt and coming out of this toxic guilt by forgiving. So it's like deep rooted. You are not in a position to forgive yourself because that guilt has become too deep by that repetition. I would not have done that. I would have done this, but I could not do that. In that way, keep repeating that and it has percolated into your psyche, your subconscious. Then it becomes a toxic guilt. And to come out of this kind of toxic guilt, this repetition, if you want to come out of, then you have to practice some kind of suggestions by the scientists or the religious leaders. What are the different techniques that they suggest to come out of this kind of toxic guilt and to develop this ability to forgive the toxic guilts or the deep-rooted negativities, deep-rooted revengefulness, deep-rooted vengeance is like, say, writing down in a step-by-step way. So if you have some vengeance, some kind of revengefulness towards a person because he has done some mistake, some kind of he committed some evil, some sin towards you, and because of that you are developing that vengeance. So first you write down the person and then write down the benefits of forgiving, and write down you have already forgiven him and how the mind is experiencing the pleasantness of forgiving and how it is improving the relations, how it is giving that pleasantness, creativity and that push and that inner joy. All those things if you write down. So in that way, both the religious leaders and also the psychologists, they recommend this kind of step-by-step writing down of that person who we are supposed to forgive and the qualities that you should develop and you expect from him, and thereby you develop cordial relation with him. And more than that, what is that you are going to achieve mentally, physically by forgiving? All those benefits, all those positive benefits, those things also you write down. Then you can penetrate into the psyche, the subconscious, and you can remove this toxic guilt which has accumulated because of that repetition, of that negativity which has gone deep inside. That can be removed by this kind of repeated writing, repeated repeated thoughts on it, and thereby you can write down it. You can just vomit all your vengeance on the paper, and thereby you can be free from the toxic guilt or toxic vengeance, toxic grudge. We can say forgiving is the opposite of grudge or vengeance. So if you can come out of this toxic vengeance, that means you have developed that art of forgiving. Is it not? So that is uh, the way to come out of this toxic vengeance or toxic grudge. And you can forgive yourself or forgive the person who has insulted you, troubled you, hurted you. So that is about the second level of this forgiving, that is forgiving or coming out of this toxic vengeance. Then the third one is the existential forgiving. See, the whole existence, when any creation, it is with some default, whether it is me or that person or this person or anything of that animal, this animal, even the divine beings, they have their own weaknesses, they have their own grudges, they have their own enviousness, they have their own jealousies. Just like me, the animals, the people, everyone, they have their own weaknesses, their own grudges, their own defilements. That's what is this existence is. That's what is the nature of this existence. If that being the reality, so so simply keeping that vengeance in my mind and multiplying my defilements and being affected by others' vengeance, being so susceptible, being so prone to others' vengeance, all these things are not necessary. That is the main cause of this existential guilt or existential vengeance. You are so prone to others, you don't have that skillfulness to protect yourself or making a boundary, making a fence around you, creating a fence around you so that you can protect from others' vengeance, others' grudge, others' say resentment. If you are simply open up yourself to others' defilements like this, vengeance, grudge, and resentment, which will make you very difficult to forgive, then what happens? Then you end up in what is called this existential vengeance. That proneness, that susceptibility to the vengeance from the external factors, external individuals, external beings. That is the main reason for this existential vengeance. So if you understand this, develop this kind of understanding, the whole existence, the whole beings, they are born of this defilements only, and I should protect first. I should protect myself from the defilements of other beings, and say then I should cultivate the different ways and means to come out of my own toxic vengeance. That is the way to free myself from this defilements of vengeance, defilements of resentment, discernment of this grudge and bitterness. If that understanding you develop, then you can come out of this existential, say, defilements related to this not to forgive, non-forgiveness, your inability to forgive. So, if you develop this kind of understanding and thereby simply let go, simply forgive, because of very existence, there is grudge, there is jealousy. I understood this existential jealousy, existential vengeance. So I ignore. But that's how this world. Let me focus on my work. Let me focus on my say mind culture, my mental mind development, mind purification. In that way, you focus on your work, whether it is spiritual work or worldly work, because of this deeper understanding of the existential realities. That is what is existential forgiving or existential forgiving the existential vengeance or existential um, this uh, resentment. So in that way, we can classify even the forgiveness also based on this three kinds of vengeance, like your natural vengeance or the toxic vengeance or the existential vengeance. That way also we can classify. And please understand, this vengeance is related to, in a way, related to guilt. In a way, it is related to your impatience also. related to your impatience. If you are more and more impatient, you don't have what is called that tolerance or forbearance or that endurance. That means you don't have that ability to forgive the things. If you don't have that ability to forgive, then it will definitely lead to impatience. If you have more of this endurance or patience, then there is a possibility for you to develop this forgiveness. Vice versa, you will have more of this ability to forget and forgive, then you develop more and more patience. Or the converse is also true. If you have more and more patience, then you can develop more and more forgiveness also. So in that way, we can understand the different kinds of forgiveness depending on the nature of the defilement, that vengeance, that grudgefulness or revengefulness. Just on the nature of grudgefulness, revengefulness, you can have these three kinds of forgiveness also. Okay. Then coming to the other religious approaches to handle this vengeance, this resentment, this grudge, or this bitterness of revenge. So to come out of this, so what are the other approaches given by other spiritual say traditions? Like in Christianity, Jesus Christ, he simply developed this forgiveness thoughts at the time of his death also. When people say when he was crucified, he simply forgive the people who are responsible for that crucifixion or crucifixion. Like these people, they don't know what they're doing. So God forgive them. So here, the understanding is what is the understanding in other religions like Christianity or all theistic religions. We are all the creators. We are all the creation of the one creator. We are all brothers. We have, that is many theistic religions. Or the present day, the modern gurus, especially in India, they are promoting universal consciousness, universal oneness, universal world family, and their understanding is we have that deep-rooted same consciousness, which is related to the universal consciousness. That's why we are brothers. We are one. Deep inside, we are one. We have that universal consciousness only. In that way, many of the modern day, of course, it's also one kind of theism only. It's also one kind of theistic approach only. So the actual theist, the religious theist, they call it as God, that universal consciousness is called as God. But these people, they call it as universal consciousness, universal oneness, something like that. They call these modern, this so-called free-thinking gurus. But whatever it is, there the understanding is we are all one. If I forgive it, it's as good as forgiving myself. So with that understanding, so all these, whether it is Jesus Christ also, whether it is like all religions, they encourage forgiveness. If you forgive others, it is as good as forgiving yourself, because you and the other person is one and the same. So because of that reason, you should learn this art of forgiving. If you keep that grudge, it will affect your relation with him, and you are troubling him, and you are, to some extent, they say you are troubling yourself also. And also they say to get the blessings of the God, to get the blessings of the Supreme Soul, to get the blessings of the universal consciousness, that means the blessings from everyone, you should cultivate this. You should develop this habit of forgiving of those who have troubled you. So in that way, they encourage this art of forgiving. So what are the two main reasons that they give? You will get the blessings. You will get the blessings, and also the protection and the care and the concern from the Supreme Being, and also from other people. Not only the person whom you have forgiven, other people also will appreciate you, they support you if you have that good mind of forgiving that person who has insulted you. Other people also will be impressed because all of you are one, all of us are one. If you develop forgiveness, other people will become more forgive. They forgive you. They become soft towards you. They become kind towards you. That's also true to some extent, to a great extent rather. So in that way, many religions, they encourage this kind of soft feelings of forgiveness. They lead to the protection from other people, the respect from other people, the love from other people, the love from the God also, the blessings from the God also, the superior being, the universal being from Him also. That is their view. That is so. With that view, they encourage people to develop this forgiveness, this quality of forgiveness, this ability to forgive others' mistakes, others others' defilements, others who have troubled you, not to keep that grudge in your mind, not to give back whatever they have given you, the negative things they have given you. Don't give back the same negative things to them, because you will not get the blessings and protection from the Supreme Being, and also you will not get the protection and the blessings from other people, because all of us are one. The very refined theistic approaches, they talk in this manner, they talk, and they encourage people to develop this art of forgiving. Now, what is this right view approach? What Buddha talks about in different scriptures about the importance of forgiveness. Just now I chanted this Parabhava Sutta. This Parabhava Sutta, Parabhava means the decline, the downfall of an individual. It starts from this grudgefulness. In Vasala Sutta also, if you are having that revengefulness, that grudge, that hypocrisy, sometimes to cover your grudge, you show that you are not say grudgeful, you are not revengeful. Simply you smile. So there is smile on your lips, but there is behind it there is the clenching teeth with grudge. The teeth are clenching with grudge, but the lips are smiling. That is, of course, consciously, if you're cultivating to come out of that revengefulness, initially you can do this also. With appearance, you should as much consciously, deliberately, consciously, you should let go, you should forgive, and then automatically it will percolate to your psyche also, and it will remove that grudge from the psyche also. But it should be a conscious effort. It should be a deliberate effort. It should be with us understanding that I should come out of it. Forgiveness in no way. This grudge in no way is beneficial. Forgiveness in all the ways it is beneficial. With that understanding, consciously, deliberately, if you are practicing, then it is good. It will slowly percolate. But hypocritically, simply expressing your forgiveness with your lips, but you are clenching your teeth without that intention of forgiving, without that conscious and deliberate effort to forgive. If you are clenching your teeth and simply hypocritically, if you are smiling, it will not help you to a great extent. But with this understanding, if you are initially, if you are only superficially, if you are expressing your forgiveness, then slowly it will percolate to your subconscious also. So, in all these different suttas like Vasala Sutta or Parabhava Sutta, Buddha says, like for your downfall or to fall into what is called that Vasala, the like say very wretched personality, develop some kind of wretchedness or downfall into the lower grades in the societal hierarchy also. The main reason is your jealousy, your your vengeance, your resentment. These things only will take you to the lower hierarchy, either in the spiritual level or in the society, social level, or in the financial level also to some extent. So in that way you decline. You will end it. Your downfall will start. The core reason is your vengeance, your deep-rooted resentment, vindictiveness, deep-rooted grudge. It will pull you down and down and down. So to come out of that, you have to practice what is called the opposite of these so-called reasons of downfall. They are called the blessings, the mangalas, like how to respect the respectables, how to connect yourself to the people who are progressing correctly with the right view, like say progressing and developing their mind, cultivating their mind, liberating their mind with the higher aspirations of nibbana and absolute liberation. If you can able to connect them with your good actions, good deeds, punyas, punya kriyas, parmis, shilas, right faith in the right view, and the people who are working on right view, practicing the precepts, moral precepts, non-killing. Non-killing means like it involves non-killing, non-stealing, not lying, not using harsh speech, not having that. If you use harsh speech when you have some resentment in your mind, when you don't have that forgiveness in your mind, all the say this immoral things that you do, killing, or stealing, or misconduct, or lying, there is some amount of say vindictiveness or some vengeance or some resentment. It will be working in our psyche. They only will become say the things like violence, and it leads to killing, and it may multiply your greed. That's why you start stealing the things. So they lead to uncontrolledness of the mind, and you indulge in all these immoral things like stealing, killing, and all these. When you start practicing consciously, deliberately these 5 precepts, like I say, then you consciously, deliberately developing, maybe unknowingly developing this forgiveness, the ability to forgive yourself, forgive others also. So that is one aspect. So practicing and connecting to the right view, with the right view people, or with the right view knowledge, or the people who are practicing right view authoritatively. With them, if you connect with right faith, or if you connect to the right view knowledge with right faith again, then also your revengefulness, your grudge will slowly start declining, start diminishing. And if you follow these meritorious actions, punya kriyas, like dana, shila, bhavana, pachayana, vayavacha, then automatically, if you are so service oriented, or say start respecting the respectables, practicing regular practice of meditations regularly, that will also again change the habit pattern of the mind. Let go, let it be, let me focus on my breath, let go of that evil things, that insulting words, let me focus on my breath, let me focus on the light, let me focus on the sensation. That way, let go and let me, that art you will start learning in the regular practice of meditation. That is what is one way of forgiveness only. And the different techniques that you have learned in these different levels of meditation, handling all the 4 faculties of the mind through proper awareness. Also, you are letting go of, or you are forgetting, or ignoring, or forgiving the people or the situations which have created some kind of vengeance in your mind. Simply letting go of it, and you are developing awareness, being one with the present situation, present sense objects like the sounds, the sensations, breath, all these things. And thereby, your all awareness meditations also will help you to let go and forget and forgive. And all your wholesome feelings also, like metta, karuna, mudita, upekka, also will help you to let go. Let him be happy, help him. He created some problem, let it be, let go, let him be happy. So in that way, learning this art of say sharing or radiating loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, then upekka. That will also make you to develop this. Directly, they help you to develop this ability of forgiving. And all these Iddhipadas techniques and with that conviction, if you are practicing with the right goal, right energy, right of taking it as my choice and liking and accepting the present situation, or taking the responsibility for your success and failure in whatever actions that you are doing. So all these things also will make you to let go the things, forget the things, forgive the things, and to go ahead. And this faith also, right? Faith in the this right view also will repeatedly propel your mind or orient your mind towards your goal. And that affirmation, your repeated affirmations also will orient your mind, and that will help you to let go the things. And the right knowledge, right perceptions of asubha, anicca, sukha, anatta, these things also will make you to let go the things. It will hit your existential vengeance also, existential defilements also it will hit. Everywhere dukkha is there, defilement is there. Why should I simply multiply my defilement? In that way also, you can, with right perceptions also, you can develop your ability to forgive and forget. A few things should be forgiven, should not be forgotten. A few things should be forgotten, should not be forgiven. So all that right knowledge you will develop, that right understanding you develop. Once you enter into these different levels of equanimity, equanimity out of very blind indifference, that is not the real equanimity. So blind indifference, some repetition with if you are work oriented, to some extent it's okay, but it should percolate, understanding should percolate deep down, and it should become wise indifference. Then it becomes equanimity. Through awareness also you reach that higher levels of equanimity, higher levels of wise indifference, wise equanimity. Through compassion, through these wholesome feelings also you reach that higher level of upekka, the wise equanimity, the wise indifference. Through this Iddhipada also, the confidence building techniques in your action, you reach the higher levels of wise equanimity. Then automatically, very easily, you can let go all your vengeance, and you can forgive and forget the things. A few things you should not forget, because you have to protect yourself also. Too much forgiveness will destroy your self-respect. If you immediately simply out of blind forgiveness, if you keep forgive everything very blindly, then you may have to lose your self-respect. You should see others' intentions and how you can protect yourself from others' bad intentions. As I was telling you in this existential vengeance or existential guilt or existential forgiving, and where you have to be silent, where you have to be equanimous, where you have to pretend as if you have not forgiven them with your equanimity, because they should not multiply it and they should not trouble you. That equanimity, that maturity to protect yourself from others, say negativities like their vengeance, their resentment, their grudge. You have to protect. For that, you have to develop these higher levels of equanimity, the wise equanimity, and accordingly developing that wisdom of what to forget, how much to forget, how much to forgive. And of course, deep inside, you should forgive, and there is no doubt in it. But in your expression, you should be like, say, there should be protection also. So that's why it is called the wisdom. So that wisdom comes, please understand, when you reach these higher levels of this equanimity. Very mindful, very alert, very conscious equanimity, not the dull, not indifferent equanimity. It is not dull equanimity. not blind equanimity. So it is very conscious, very wise equanimity. If you develop, then protecting yourself from others' vengeance becomes easy. And to what extent I should forgive and forget. Deep inside, you can't forget many things. Though if you can't forget, but you can forgive. Deep inside, you can forgive, and you can pretend as if you are careful, you are mending them, you are warning them. That kind of ideas also you will get once you keep growing in this wise equanimity, alert equanimity, conscious equanimity. So all these different meditations which work on your awareness or your feelings, wholesome feelings, or your confidence, or your right perception, they will take you step by step into this wise equanimity. And that is the approach of this right view. This right view approach of developing forgiveness is this holistic approach of uh, developing all the four faculties of the mind and reaching higher and higher levels of equanimity, not blind equanimity. So blindly also you can become indifferent. That is not the equanimity. You should practice metta, for example, in the feelings. You should practice metta, thoroughly understand metta. You should practice karuna, thoroughly understand the all dimensions of karuna. You should practice appreciative joy, understand all dimensions of appreciative joy. Then you transcend all these three things, thorough understanding of all these three things. Then you end up in what is called the equanimity. That is wise equanimity. That is conscious, wise equanimity in the feelings also. The same thing with different awareness meditations, with different, say, confidence building, itipada, with other right perception meditation. So you develop in this conscious equanimity. So all this growth in this conscious equanimity by handling all these four faculties of the mind, it will take you to an authoritative ability of forgiving the miscreants or the forgiving the insults, forgiving the wrong people. So that is the right view approach. That is the approach in this path. And the very important other thing that one should remember about this path and how effective is this path is, see, this not to forgive is nothing but keeping vengeance in my mind, keeping grudge in my mind. All these things are okay. They are also people, they are bound to make mistakes, so I should forgive them, it's okay. But keeping the vengeance, keeping the defilement in my mind, it creates suffering for me. Just like I always used to say, if I express my anger towards other person, so the first victim is myself. The first victim of my anger is myself. Just like throwing a burning charcoal on the other person to harm him. The first person who will be affected is myself. My hand will be burned. The same way, by forgiving the other person, the first beneficiary is myself. Because my defilement of anger has gone, my defilement of grudge, my defilement of resentment and that bitterness has gone. I became free from this defilement. So I will be happy. I will derive this inner joy of freeing the mind from defilement. So I am the first beneficiary. This is the understanding. Because of that reason only, in all our meditations, first we start from ourselves. Let me be happy, healthy, and peaceful. I see my own smiling face, and I wish myself, let me be happy, healthy, and peaceful. I forgive myself. Whatever mistakes I have done, I just forgive myself. If you don't forgive yourself, then you start creating a lot of friction. You become your first enemy if you don't forgive yourself. You appreciate your good qualities first, then you start appreciating others. So in that way, it is always fixing my own defilements. Buddha's approach or this right view approach is always to know my defilement and understand the suffering that this defilement creates, and to fix my own defilement so that I should come out of the suffering of my defilement. Hmm? The defilement of this anger, resentment, vengeance, grudge. I should come out of. This is the right view approach. This is most authoritative because everyone, whether it's me or the other person or the animal, everybody want happiness, true happiness. And it is my own defilement that is creating problem for me to derive that true happiness, to come out of my suffering. It is my own defilement. If that understanding is deeper, and if you are working at that level, then there is no excuse for you. If I want to forgive other person, then there some excuses may come in between. But if I want to come out of my own suffering, I should develop this art of forgiving, this wisdom of forgiving. Then there are no excuses, because everybody deep inside, each and every being is seeking for its own happiness. The same way I am seeking for my own happiness. So I should not multiply this defilement of vengeance. So I should cultivate this forgiveness to myself, forgiveness to others, so that I will be free from this deep-rooted grudge, deep-rooted guilt, deep-rooted resentment, deep-rooted bitterness. If that understanding develops, then nobody, no force on this earth will come in the way to develop this ability to forgive others or forgive yourself, because forgiveness is forgiveness. Forgive others or forgive yourself, you will become free. You will become free from the defilement, and you will start deriving the freedom. That is important. You will start experiencing the freedom. Your grudge, your say bitterness, it will bind you. It will make you to stuck in where you are. So to come out of that kind of bondage, that kind of binding, then you should cultivate this art of letting go. So first, you forgive your mistakes. So many times we think that other people, they are simply insulting me, but deep inside the reason may be myself only. I may be insulting them. I may be showing some negativities towards them. So they are reacting with their grudge, with their insult, with their hatred. So the deep inside, the reason is myself. So I should develop this wisdom of protecting myself from others' grudge. The same way I should develop my mind on some creative work, on developing freedom, on purifying my defilements. In that way, your focus will automatically changed when you develop this kind of understanding. I should be free from my defilements, which are the cause of my suffering. The defilements that I am developing, that I am accumulating, it may be because of my own deep inside defilements, or the defilements that are being, induced by other person on myself, by other people. From both these kinds of defilements from others or defilements from my own being, I should protect myself. If that understanding is there, then you don't indulge in whatever this kind of vengeance, this kind of grudge, this kind of revengefulness. This is the right view approach. So what is the right view approach? The first point is so all our problems, all our decline, all our failures, we don't progress in any aspect of the life, is rooted in our vengeance, our grudge, our jealousy, our guilt. So understanding this. So to come out of this, I should work on my own defilements, whether the defilements which are which are attacking me from the external people, from outside or from inside. Defilements from within or without. So though from those things, if I want to protect, then I should cultivate this beautiful art of forgiving, simply letting go, because it is defilements from within or without that create suffering. So I simply forgive these defilements, whether they are within or without. So that kind of approach is the right view approach. That is point number one. Then point number two is like Buddha says in Dhammapada, Nahi vere na verani samantida kudachanam. Avere ni samanti esa dhammo sanantano. That means what? Nahi vere na verani means like say from this hatred, from this vengeance, from this grudge, you can't come out of grudge. From this resentment, you can't come out of resentment. From my revenge, I can't fix the revenge of the other person. From forgiveness, from avera, from just letting go, from forgiveness, from kindness, only I can fix the revengefulness of the other person. Revengeful from outside or from without or from within. The resentment from within or the resentment from without, I can fix only with forgiveness, only with letting go, only with kindness, only with say forgiving, you can say. Only with this forgiveness only from this letting go only, I can fix. I cannot fix any kind of grudge, any kind of revengefulness with by developing the grudge within myself. I can counter others' grudge with my grudge. That is not the way. I can counter others' hatred with my hatred. That is not the way. I can counter the hatred with forgiveness on, with kindness on, with compassion only. So that is Esadammo Sanantana. This is the law eternal. This is the eternal law. This is the universal eternal unshakable law. Just like your law of cause and effect. For every cause there is an effect. Just like this law is so authoritative, so real. The same way, this law of fixing the grudge with grudge is not the way. Fixing the grudge with love, fixing the grudge with letting go, fixing the love with forgiveness. First expression of what of all is love is your forgiveness. Accepting the person as he is. If he is hateful, accepting. Deep inside, accept. Of course, in practical levels, you can just say that you don't accept, you try to fix him, you try to repair him, whatever skillfully you want to do, you can do it wisely. But deep inside, your feeling should be forgiveness on. Your feeling should be kindness on. Mindfully, skillfully, wisely, if you want to fix intelligently, fix other person's grudge, it's okay. But deep inside, you should have that feeling of forgiveness, feeling of patience, feeling of loving kindness, feeling of equanimity. If you're affected by others' grudge, then you are disturbing your defilements, you are multiplying your defilements, you are increasing your grudge, your hatred. That should not happen. In that way, the second aspect that Buddha is highlighting is he is giving this universal law, this eternal law in say whatever say this say reacting negatively for negative things, it will simply multiply the things, it will multiply the negativities, that's all. It will not melt the negativities. So he gives the story of one. Actually, this verse of this Nahi Verena Verani Samantida Kutachanam Averani Hikam Samanti Esadamo Sanantana. So this verse was given by Buddha. The background story is also interesting. One yakini, Kala yakini. Yakini is like when very ferocious, say some kind of say demon, you say very ferocious creature, let us say. So, and one lady with one child, one infant, they had this kind of mutual grudge. And that ferocious lady, a ferocious creature, she wanted to kill this lady who is the daughter of one nobleman, and she has one small infant. She wanted to kill that lady, kill that infant also. Because in the previous lives, this kind of mutual grudge, it was going on from so many lives. Now the previous lives, both these women, they were the wives of one common husband. They developed grudge because of one of them was barren, and one lady, she delivered a child, and that barren lady developed some grudge on this childbearing woman, childbearing wife, and she killed that child and that lady also. And the next life they born as cat and say some hen or something like that, one hen and cat. And again they started developing that grudge, and they started say inflicting pain and violence and terror on one another. And again in the next life, one leopard and one doe, something like that, they took birth. And that life also they were having grudge and fear, and one terrorizing the other. And in this life also, that continued, that grudge continued. So both of them, they were burning with the grudge. They say, this lady troubled me, killed my son. Now I should kill the lady and also the children of that lady. So that kind of grudge, that kind of terror, they started inflicting on one another. And it continued not just in one life or two lives, for so many lives, until this life of Buddha. This Buddha's lifetime also it was there. And this that ferocious lady, she wanted to kill this child and the mother of that child. But she came and she took refuge in Buddha. And Buddha started giving this verse and keeping these thoughts of insult. He insulted me, he troubled me, he hurted me, he abused me. If these thoughts, if you keep on cultivating, if you keep brooding on these negative thoughts, then this grudge will not say come down. It will not reduce. It will not go away. It will simply, you are fueling them by repeating them in your mind, and that revenge, it will keep going from one life to other life. Don't keep this kind of thoughts. To come out of this kind of thoughts, understand this universal law of so my security, my safety, my happiness, all of us deep rooted understanding, deep rooted desire of everyone is to be happy. Many people ignorantly they think by taking revenge they become happy, but it will not happen. By taking revenge, you can't become happy, rather you become more miserable. And it will hit back to you. That grudge will hit back to you. This time, out of your revenge, you may harm him, but after some time, he may harm you, or may not be in this life. In the next life, he may harm you, just like in the story of this Kalayakini. So in that way, this will go on. This grudge, this revengefulness, this vengeance, this bitterness, it will go on. There is no end for it. So if you want to put a break for it, then you should simply learn how to forgive, how to let go. Because your happiness is more important than your grudge. Have this understanding. That way Buddha could teach them, and of course, after that, they could forgive each other, and they became good friends. So in that way, forgiveness is the key to stop this chain of grudge, chain of revengefulness. Just like the grudge will trigger a lot of, say, grudge, and it will keep multiplying the grudge in one individual, 10 individuals, whole society, whole nations. That's how the world wars will start. One person having grudge on the other person. So the one country having grudge on the other country. A few countries develop the same grudge with other group of countries. That's how even it becomes a world war. So where is the end for it? Forgive it. Skillfully forgive. If you are skillful, if you are wise, if you have developed this, say, very wise equanimity, with very wise decisions, with very wise techniques, you can fix it. But if you are not very wise, at least blindly also you forgive. Blindly also stop repeating these kind of grudgeful thoughts and focus on your task, your responsibility, your goals. That is the basic. Then you start understanding the wholesome feelings like metta karna. Then you start understanding the right view, knowledge about this grudge and how it creates my own suffering, how it corrupts my physical health, mental health, my immunity, my relations, how it affects everything. Rationally start understanding. Then you start consciously develop consciousness, develop higher and higher pure consciousness. Then automatically all these defilements will start melting. And your understanding of this beauty of forgiveness becomes deeper and deeper, and you reach that wise understanding or wise equanimity, a wise superior consciousness. In that way, one should cultivate the mind, one should cultivate this art of forgiveness by cultivating the mind by this right view approach. And of course, the other approaches like the other people will be more compassionate, more kind, more friendly with a person who is very say kind and who forgives others' mistakes. That is what is actually people call it as the blessing of the God or the blessing of the universal consciousness. So it is expressed, or because other people start appreciating such a good person, they call it as like it is. You are the blessing. You have the blessing of the universal consciousness, also the blessing of the God Supreme. Also, whether there is God Supreme or not, that is secondary. That may not be the right view according to our discussion. But still, other people will be influenced. Will be happy with your forgiveness, with your forgiving ability. So because of that reason also one should develop this art of forgiving. And also the other thing, the psychology of forgiveness that I explained you, how you understand about the mind matter relation, how you develop forgiveness, how authoritatively, step by step, by expressing, by writing down all these things, if you practice this forgiveness, uh, by recollecting the benefits of forgiveness again and again, how you can give that affirmation, the repetitive affirmation of say forgiving the miscreant or the person who created problem for you, and the general awareness about the forgiveness. So if you can't move on when you're stuck with this hateful thought or revengeful thought, so because of that, there is a just forget and forgive. It may be blind letting go, or it may be blind way of forgiving, whatever it may be, but still it helps you to just let go and move on with your responsibilities, with your task, with your actions. So in that way, you should say experiment all these things, understand all these things, different ways and means to develop this art and science of forgiving, and understand the benefits of this forgiving, both spiritually and also in the uh, worldly success, to achieve worldly success, how this ability to forgive, how it helps you understand these things. And this right view approach of forgiving also thoroughly understand, because it will hit the core, will completely destroy the venomous roots, the poisonous roots of this tree of vengeance, of revengefulness. If you understand this right view approach, very thought of vengeance, very thought of grudge will corrupt me, will create suffering for me at all levels. My purpose of life is to come out of suffering. The very purpose of human life is to understand and come out of this suffering. My suffering is because of my own defilements. one of which is the vengeance or grudge or this bitterness of grudge. I should come out of it. Have that firm understanding, firm conviction to come out of suffering, to come out of defilement. That will propel you to develop all other skillful means of developing forgiveness. So that's what is the wisdom of forgiveness. I think this much is enough for today. If you have some questions, you can ask. Then we'll conclude.
Namaste, Banteji.
Yes, Rohit.
There's a question from Chandrasekhar P. Banteji.
Hmm.
They're asking, Vandami Banteji, how could Buddha tolerated the pain when assaulted by people so that he could forgive them?
Well, again, there are so many factors which will make you to tolerate the pain. Buddha was assaulted even in the last life as Buddha, even as Supreme Buddha. Many people insulted him because, like said, again, all these factors, they're ignorant people. Only ignorant people only assault. Ignorant people only insult. Is it not? Whether a wise person, a wise sage, they will never insult you. So only ignorant people will insult you, assault you, trouble you. So for an ignorant person, like an ignorant child, so what will we do with an ignorant child? Your own child, let us say. So you simply think he's an ignorant child, he is very childish, he is not yet mature. You simply ignore him. You try to convince him, you try to teach him, or if he is not in a position to understand, you try to ignore him. That is the way all these people, all these wise people, they look at the world. They look at the world as like the world is full of ignorant children. Some children they trouble you, some children they do some mischief, some children they pull your hair, they attack you, they slap you. Some, of course, some children they don't do anything. Some children, there's some wise children, they try to follow you, they try to listen to you, they try to say like you. That's how the mature people, wise people look at the world. They look at the world, they look at the people as like their own ignorant children. If your own child, if it assaults you, what will you do? You simply let go it. You simply smile at it. Sometimes. In one of the previous lives, Buddha, his name was Kantivadi. He was a sage. He was renunciate and sage, and he was teaching some women in the harem, like some royal women, about the importance of this kanti, this patience, or say this forgiveness. He was teaching this, and the king, he was in Kalabu, his name, I think. In Kalabu, he was a ferocious king. He was very, very wicked king, very say, hateful. His mind is full of hatefulness and suspicion and wickedness. And he was angry with this Kantivadi, Bodhisattva. He's teaching these women, they are all around him. So he became revengeful, he became like angry with the Bodhisattva, this Kantivadi. Then he came to this Kantivadi and he asked him, what you are teaching? I'm teaching them about the importance of patience and forgiveness. Then, do you have patience? I want to test you. First, I should know whether you have patience. Then only you can teach. I want to test how much patience you have, how much forgiveness you have. So he started troubling this Kantivadi. He started cutting his one hand. But still, Kantivadi said, like you are an ignorant person, you are doing all this assault, this mischief. I forgive you. Then he started cutting his another hand also. He started cutting his legs also. Finally, that Kantivadi died. At the time of death also, just like Jesus Christ he could forgive the people who killed him, who crucified him. In the same way, this Bodhisattva also, he could forgive that King Kalabu, that who created problem, who killed this Kantivadi by torturing him. So that is the outlook. That is the way the mature people they look at the ordinary people. And also, it's not just their understanding of the importance of forgiving. So it is again they have understood about the impermanence of the pain, the impermanence of the death. They have grown they have developed their mind to transcend the body very easily. They don't have so much attachment to the body. If you have a lot of attachment to the body, then forgiving the person who has troubled your body is difficult. Because you are so much possessive of your body because of your attachment. If somebody is taking away your body, that means they're killing your body, destroying your body, then you can't tolerate it. Then you start hating, you start, say, uh, developing some kind of resentment towards the person who is destroying your body. But when you are a meditator, when you know how to transcend the body, when you know that you don't have much attachment to the body, you understood about the impermanence of all these the four elements of the body, then letting go or forgiving becomes very easy. Say, for example, you don't have much botheration for some 100 rupees. You have great botheration for 1 lakh rupees, let us say. If somebody has taken your 100 rupees, you don't mind, you don't care. Okay, let him take. But you, but for some person, even 100 rupees he is very much bothered. For him, somebody takes even 10 rupees of that person, then he became very revengeful, very, say, very angry. In that way, your attachment to your body, attachment to your own possessions, that also make you to forgive or not to forgive. But the mature people, the wise people, the people who have grown spiritually and understood about the impermanence of the body, mind, they could easily give up the body. And for such people, somebody troubling their body is not a big thing. And they say it's okay for him to be happy, or for him to teach him, let me give up my body, it's okay. So with that mentality, with that outlook also, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they could easily tolerate and forgive people who assault them. Is it not? It's all that superiority comes with the understanding of the mind. Please know this. Please understand this. Once you start working on your mind and working on the four faculties of the mind, start purifying and understanding about the impermanence of the body, impermanence of these four elements that constitute this body, and the ability to say develop this loving kindness, unconditional loving kindness, unconditional compassion, the ability to treat other people as their own children, to behave as if you are the parent, universal parent, the parent of this whole world. That maturity, all these kinds of maturity one will get when a person starts working on the mind, like these different levels of mind cultivation, mind purification that you are going through. All that kind of maturity one will get there. Forgiving and forgetting, or forgiving even without forgetting also. The misdeeds of your small child, though you may not forget, it's like one amusement, it's like one fun for you. When he has grown up, then you tease him. So that's what you are doing with me. But at the time you have forgiven him, later also you have forgiven him. So in that way, these mature people do. And many times to teach a person also, people tolerate. People, they bear with them. To teach a person also, they bear with, they forgive. By forgiving, you can transform a person. You can change the, say, the mentality of a person. Just like in the case of, say, this Alavaka, the ferocious demon, he tolerated all his torture. He forgiven him and tolerated him because he knew, Buddha knew that he could be converted, he could be transformed, though he was a ferocious person now. So with that intention also, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they tolerate and forgive people, to change the people, to transform the people, to convert the people from evilness to goodness, from ignorance to wisdom. They tolerate and they forgive. Sometimes to develop the parmis, the perfections, they forgive the other people, like in the case of Antivadi. So he wanted to perfect his this parmi of Kanti, patience. So that's why he could tolerate this person, this Kalabu, because he knew that by developing this kind of say Kanti, this kind of patience, I can fulfill my parmi, my perfection of patience, which is very much required for becoming a Samma Sambuddha, supremely enlightened. For that, this ability to tolerate and forgive is also important. So, with that intention of perfecting his one's parmis, fulfilling one's parmis, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, they develop this forgiving, they cultivate this forgiving. So many occasions, Bodhisattvas could forgive other people, other beings, other mischief mongers, people who create miscreants, because they want to fulfill their ability to forgive and say endure, develop their Aditana Parmi, Kanti Parmi, Metta Parmi, Upekka Parmi. Develop this equanimity also. To develop equanimity also, one should forgive and one should be patient. So to fulfill these parmis also, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they had to forgive and they have to say they have to develop this say this art of forgiving, this quality of forgiving. Okay, to develop the parmis, to convert the person from evilness to goodness, and merely out of compassion also sometimes they forgive. So because of these three reasons, I can say the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they can easily tolerate the assaults and insults of the other people. Okay, any other question?
No more questions, Banteji. Thank you.
We'll conclude. Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa bhavatu sabba mangalam rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te sukhi bhaveyanni dukho aham nicha aham viya ida chame sukhi hontu majjata chatavedino imam hi gammante dhamme satta hontu sukhi sada ato parancarajyesu chakkavale sujantano sadhu sadhu sukhi hontu mangalam. May all of you be happy, healthy, and peaceful. May all beings also be happy, healthy, and peaceful. Yeah, we are going to have these Abhidhamma classes. Start learning this, the finer aspects of the mind and the matter, these ultimate realities. Then again, to develop all these skills of, say, forgiveness, endurance, loving kindness. It's easy to develop because your understanding of the finer defilements, the finer qualities of the mind becomes deeper and deeper by learning the Abhidhamma. Of course, through meditation, it will be more authoritative, it will be more experiential. But even with the understanding, analytical understanding, having this knowledge by attending these Abhidhamma classes also will definitely help you to understand your defilements and to fix them very authoritatively, very intelligently. You can fix them. So we are going to have from Saturday. I think tomorrow is the last day. For tomorrow, yeah. So register for this class and we finalize tomorrow on the list of participants. Definitely it will help. And of course, the step-by-step learning of the meditations through our meditation courses also will help you to purify your mind. In the process of purification of the mind, understanding the stains of the mind that will impurify, that will say corrupt your mind, that will say stain your mind. Those things also authoritatively, experientially, you can understand these meditation courses. Intellectually, you can understand through these Abhidhamma courses. So simultaneously, we are going to start both these courses. All of you are welcome to join these courses and also encourage the people, because this is the future. At this juncture, maybe people are say being say uh, uh, disillusioned, or maybe say confused by so many approaches, scientific approaches, or the approaches from other traditions, other religions. People may be looking for this or that. There may be confusion, but definitely I'll tell you, the future of the right knowledge, right understanding, right health, right mental health, physical health is this right view approach only. Start understanding correctly, deeply, and authoritatively the causes of stress, the causes of grudge, the causes of revenge, the causes of all defilements. This right view approach is the right approach. It will fix all these defilements. Then you can easily come out of all the defilements and the suffering of these defilements. So now you start learning this with all conviction, with all clarity, and also encourage other people to register and start learning these things. It will definitely help here and hereafter, now and later also will definitely help. That is the assurance from our side. Okay. So with this, we will conclude. All of you be happy and peace. Sukhi Hantu Mangal.